Okay, so this video is going to be kind of short. This one is on DIY elitists, which are basically the people who complain about the people who don't make their own cosplays, props, style their own wigs, etc. So I have had experience with this personally because I buy a lot of my costumes. I have only made a very small handful of my costumes, and only one of them has actually been sewn from scratch. Like, I bought a pile of fabric and made stuff. Everything else was just altered from clothes from the thrift store and whatever. So basically, it pisses me off that people can sit there and like hate on somebody because, oh, they bought their costume, they're lazy, or something like that, or they don't understand what cosplay's about. It's about doing it yourself. And no, it's not. It's not about that. It's about having fun, and how you get there, it's different for everybody. Because the reason why I buy my costumes is because I don't have the skills to make my costumes. But I mean, I've tried, and the costumes that I have made or altered from regular clothes are okay, but they're not like spectacular or anything. But that's because I don't know what I'm doing. And the thing that doesn't make any sense is, how can you sit there and be like, oh, well, I make all my stuff, I do all this, and I do all that, you should do this too. Well, you had to start from somewhere. Were you just born a cosplay prodigy? Did you come out of your mom's vagina knowing how to sew a costume and style wigs? Probably not. You probably didn't know how to do any of that stuff at one point, and you had to learn. You have to start from somewhere. And some people are late bloomers. Some of them don't know how to make stuff. Some people want to learn, they just don't have the resources to learn, they don't have the time to learn. But there are people who just don't want to learn, because some people cosplay for the sake of just dressing up. That's what they like about it, is dressing up, taking pictures, hanging out with people, whatever. Whereas there are people who are in it for the DIY aspect of it, where they make everything and all that other stuff. And I understand the reasoning behind it, where, oh, it's more rewarding when you make your own costume and blah blah blah, which I can agree with, because I've had people compliment me on my costumes, and it kind of sucks when you have to be like, oh, thanks, but I bought it, I didn't make it. But there's nothing wrong with that. The only problem I have with people who buy their costumes is the ones who buy their costumes and lie and say that they made it when they didn't. That shit is not okay. But as long as you're honest about it, there's nothing wrong with it, and people need to just back off and let people do their own thing. Like, yeah, it is rewarding to make your own costume. I made my Sonic the Hedgehog costume from scratch, and it didn't come out exactly how I wanted it, but it came out, and I am pretty proud of it, because it was my first costume I ever made, and I want to make more, because you do get the satisfaction out of it. Like, I made this myself. But some people just aren't into that. There is no, like, set in stone way of how you have to cosplay. So if someone wants to make their costumes and whatever, that's fine. Even if they don't look that great, some people are still just dead set on making their own stuff, even if it doesn't look perfect. And then there's other people like me who are afraid of it looking like crap, so they buy their costumes, or they just don't have the time to make their own stuff, so they buy it. That's it. Like, let people just do what they want to do. You don't need to be an asshole and sit there and be like, oh, yeah, your cosplay would be okay if you made it yourself, or that cosplay sucks because it's bought. That costume's so obvious that it's bought. It's like, well, if they're not lying about it, who cares? Like, really, let them live their life.